Hello, Miss Eva. How are you? Let me see if I can see ya. Oh, okay. Well, good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the very first Money Talk with Melanie that is happening at 5 p.m., the very first afternoon edition of Money Talk. Because, not only because it's the 100th episode of Money Talk with Melanie, but because I have the one and only Eva Rosenberg with me today. So I'm super excited about that. She's known as the TaxMama, and she's a sponsor. You've heard her commercials, and she's also just been a really good friend and mentor. And I'm just like thrilled that she's on the 100th episode of Money Talk with Melanie today. Just absolutely thrilled about that. So you will see her very shortly joining me. Joining me streaming live on YouTube, and if you're on Facey, hopefully you can see it. I tried something new. I tried to fool Facebook, so we'll see. I tried to trick Facebook into it, so we'll see what happens. I'll have to check Facey and see if my little shenanigans worked. But you can definitely see her and myself live on YouTube. And if you go to SHR Media, you will also be able to, shrmedia.com, you will also be able to live chat, or you can live chat on Facey, which I see quite a few people are already in Facey. Hi, everybody. So as I announced last week, we have moved to the 5 o'clock hour. So we're very excited about that. So, you know, my puppy dog is with me in the studio, and she's been chilling for like the last half hour, just like she knows when she sees the setup, like it's time to get rolling. And now she's like all animated. I'm like, lay down, dog. Anyway, we are coming to you live via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. Hey, Holly. Hey, Deontay. What? I know your name, Deontay. What am I talking about? Anyway, good afternoon. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Today, we're going to talk to Eva Rosenberg a tiny bit about, I love when Eva's also everywhere. Like, she'll be in the chat. She'll be in the face. She's there. Hey. So she's one of the things I love about having her as a guest is that she will interact with the audience, which is like so cool because she's so knowledgeable about all things taxes. And thank you for the congratulations. Hi, Holly. So it's really just a pleasure to have her on. Second, Sean. I'm starting to get nervous. Like a lot of people in here. Anyway. So we're going to talk to Eva a tiny bit about the non-existent tax reforms that are possible, but we're mostly going to talk to her about some tax tips, some current tax tips for the third quarter, which she is a tax expert, and you should know that by now if you've been listening to the show because you've heard her commercials here on Money Talk with Melanie. If you have not done so already, you would do very well to go to her website, taxmama.com with one M, and she will answer your tax questions for free. But also she has 2 award-winning books, Small Taxes Made Easy and Deduct Everything. They're both award-winning books, and you would do well to go to her website and purchase them as well. I'd also like to thank my other sponsor, businessbuyeradvantage.com. I'm going to have David Barnett on the show very shortly, hopefully in the next week or two. Cynthia. Maybe, I don't know. You have to ask the tax mama. She does that, actually. That's one of the things that she does are those trainings. So you may want to pop over to the TaxMama's website and check it out. David Barnett, businessbuyeradvantage.com. You want to check out his website if you are even thinking about buying a business or investing in a business. And he has 2 books that you can purchase as well. One called 21 Stupid Things People Do When Trying to Buy a Business, and the other called Franchise Warnings, What You Need to Know Before You Buy a Franchise. So you definitely want to check those out. Before we get into the meat of the program, a little bit of housekeeping. If you'd like to know, there you go, Eva. If you'd like to know in advance who's going to be on Money Talk with Melanie, follow me on any of my social media. Facebook, which right here on Facey, at Money Talk Mel is my Twitter handle. I'm also on Pinterest and Google Plus, and I actually just got on Reddit because, like, the cool kids tell me that that's where all the cool people are. So, and I'm also on Tumblr and Instagram. So you've taken online from her, because she's a rock star. So make sure you follow me on any of my social media. If you'd like to email me about anything, you want to suggest a topic for the 5 minutes of personal finance, which I'm not doing as part of the show anymore. I'm going to do that as a separate kind of thing. And I'm going to roll that out over the next couple days. Eden's here. Hi, Eden. So if you want to email me about a suggested topic, the email address is moneytalkwithmelanie@gmail.com. If you want to connect with me via phone, the number is 937-756-6639. I think that's all. That's not all the housekeeping. I meant to mention that I was on Sirius XM last Friday. So if you missed it, last Friday night, I was on Patriot Tonight. I was on Patriot Tonight on channel, on Sirius XM channel 125, and you can get that show on demand if you like. If you go look for Patriot Tonight, last Friday's episode, I guest hosted again. I think it was maybe my 4th or 5th time guest hosting that show, and it was a lot of fun as usual, and the callers were pretty animated, so that was fun. Thank you for sharing the video, Eva. You rock. So I think that's all the housekeeping. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the news and in the Money Talk news report. Of course, you know, today is September 11th, and this is always a rather somber day in our history because it's the anniversary of 9/11 and, of course, the terrorist attacks in 2001. Today, of course, all across the country, people gathered with a moment of silence at 8:46. And apparently, and President Trump led a moment of silence today at 9:37 a.m. at the Pentagon, while President Mike Pence did so in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the last plane went down. We need to continue to pray for the victims of 9/11 because they're still here 16 years later, are still suffering the side effects, particularly the first responders. So we need to just make sure that we cover them in prayer, keep them in our thoughts and prayers. And people who lost loved ones are still in pain. So we need to make sure we keep those people in prayer. And of course, another, tragedy that's going on right now is Hurricane Irma. Now, the good news about Hurricane Irma is that she downgraded to a tropical storm with winds of 70 miles per hour, which is, a drastic change from 185 miles per hour. So, but still, 5.8 million people are without power. Lots of destruction and damage. Hey, Lamarge. Long time no see. Lots of destruction and damage. About $65 billion in damage. And I was listening to a report earlier today that talked about how the average reimbursement that people are getting for their homes is like $33,000, which doesn't even come close. And this is from flood insurance, which doesn't even come close to covering a lot of people's damage. So that's really, again, we need to keep these people in prayer. That's my puppy dog messing with my My camera. Lay down, doggy. Anyway, so hey, Lonnie Poindexter. So we need to keep those people in prayer because they have some people absolutely lost everything, and you know, it's just so sad. So now we have Harvey and we have Irma. If you have anything that you want to donate, make sure that you do so. Please make sure that it's a reputable place. You make sure you research it. I personally have been following specific families and donating that way. If I see a specific family that way, I know it's going directly to that family. See, usually at 10 a.m. my dog is sleeping, but she's like roaming around having a good time. Anyway, messing with my stuff. Anywho, it's just so funny. So you do want to keep those people in prayer. And like I said, if you can donate anything, if you can get out to volunteer, that's all. If you can donate your time, that's huge, because they need all hands on deck. So be sure to do that. Now, other business news, Kraft's new CFO is 29 years old. You don't know anything at 29. I'm just saying. What do you know? Well, apparently he knows a lot because Heinz's new CFO is a mere 29 years old. He will be handling $100 billion market. I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, good for him, I guess. Yeah, I mean, wow, 29 years old. His name is David Knopf, and that's what he's going to be doing. That's his new gig. I'm not mad at him. Good for him. Okay. Last item in the news is about this. And I kind of left this last on purpose because I have a fundamental issue with this. And if you want to, yeah, he does, Eva. He does have an amazing background. I feel woefully underaccomplished when I read his background. But nobody compares. I've always had this issue with the whole female workers are getting paid less than their male counterparts, which I'm sure that they are in some places. But apparently this is a particular problem at Google, and the New York Times obtained a spreadsheet of, which there must be a mole somewhere, of the 2017 salaries and bonuses and of Google employees, and it shows that women are paid less than men. And actually, there's a study. Apparently, some data was submitted by 1,200 Googlers, and there's a trend that says that women are getting paid less than men. Now, here's the thing. When you study these things, and when you pull apart these studies, there are nuances to that. I'll give you an example. So women, by and large, have the kids. Like, that's the way God designed it. It's all good, right? A lot of times, at least I know places that I've worked, the way that the salary scale has worked is they have a base salary, and then and this is just an example, and then for every year of experience you have, you get an extra $1,000. That's how one place that I worked operated. So had I stayed home and had kids for, say, 5 years, my male counterpart would have 5 years more experience and thus be getting paid $5,000 more for the same job. I hope that makes sense. I don't know how legally. Apparently, the pay gap is 4 to 6%. But like I said, I think that there's a fundamental reason that has nothing to necessarily do with a lack of fairness. Sometimes it's just the way things are. So just ladies, just be careful about that. Just relax with that. That kind of stuff really bothers me because it comes out every single year, and then nobody ever considers the circumstances behind why that might be the case. I'm just saying. There are circumstances. Hi, Greg. Hi, Brian. So in a moment, when we come back, we are going to have the one and only Eva Rosenberg, TaxMama. We're going to talk briefly about the Trump. The reason why I'm giggling every time I say the Trump tax reforms is because when she and I talked about it, she kind of was like, yeah, right. And I just chuckled the way she expressed it. That's all. So we're going to talk briefly about that, but mostly we're going to talk about things that are going on with your taxes here in the third quarter. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your one and only business diva, Melanie Collette, and we will be back in a few moments.
The worst natural disaster in U.S. history has brought out the best in many Americans. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, in recent years, Americans have been more divided than any time since perhaps the Civil War. 49% of Americans clamor for a Venezuelan form of government. Even the Congressional Black Caucus members annually trek to Cuba for training on how to overthrow our constitutional republic form of government. 51% of Americans still believe in the possibility of an America that can be greater than ever. But when it comes down to it, we learn from natural disasters like the record-breaking hurricane of 2017 that no matter what, as Americans, we are at our best when we work together to find the best solutions to whatever challenges we face. Good and decent Americans from all sectors of society reflect the true nature of our republic. Sir Winston Churchill once said, "These are times that try men's souls." That certainly applies to those who have had to endure the loss of home, jobs, and in some cases, their very lives. But through it all, what may come out of this historic disaster is a reemergence of people learning how to reach out to one another and find real solutions that benefit our republic as opposed to destroying her. What was geared towards disaster may in many ways inspire a true rebirth of our republic. I'm Ron Edwards.
Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized business since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
And that is a perfect introduction to the one and only TaxMama. And thank you for posting businessbuyeradvantage.com in the chat. You rock, Eva, as always. You rock. Now, I don't know, Eva, if you can see that I cannot see your lovely face. I don't know if you have something covering your camera or not, but oh, cool, yeah, David Barnett rocks. He rocks very hard. Anyway, so we're going to be talking. We're going to talk to Eva briefly about Trump's tax reform. Eva, can you hear me? Okay, talk to me.
Absolutely.
Awesome. How are you, darling?
You are looking good, but we don't see the puppy.
You know what? I was going to pick her up because she's been fussing. She's actually been over here fussing for me to pick her up. Seriously.
Yeah.
Like the whole...
You keep mentioning her, so, show her to us.
I have to show... Okay, I'll have to show her to you. Now she doesn't want to... She's camera shy all of a sudden. Here's the...
Oh, look how pretty.
She's a diva. She is a little diva herself. And you see she's like salty right now. She's salty because she wants something from me. I can't imagine what, because we took care of everything before the show, as I always do. But this is a different time of day. So usually she has my undivided attention about now. So she's going to have to get used to not having it at 5 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock.
See?
Usually she sits under
retraining.
Usually she sits under my feet and just kind of chills. But But she's not about that today. She's like, it's 5 o'clock. What are you doing? Like, we're supposed to be napping, which is true.
Or at least taking a walk, right?
Yes.
So yes.
Exactly. So she's like, what are we doing? Why are we doing the show now? I don't understand. But anywho, so okay, so you chuckled when we I didn't do your bio. I'm sorry. Let me do your bio. Let me do your bio.
Oh no, that's okay. You said enough. It's all right.
Are you sure I said enough about you?
Oh God, yes.
They're like, believe me, Melanie, we know who she is.
Really?
Okay.
But you invited me here. First of all, congratulations on 100 episodes. That is an amazing accomplishment, and it takes so much fortitude and persistence and courage. So I really want to congratulate you for taking it this far and beyond.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. It's been interesting.
I know it's really, really hard. And I don't know if you know Jim Blassing Game, but I've been watching him. We've been friends since before he started his show. He's the small business advocate. He's been on now for about 18 years. But he started and struggled and fought to get the sponsors and everything else. And you know what? Yes, it can be done. You can do it.
Well, I have some really... I'm very fortunate. I have some really good mentors in you and a few other people that just reached out to me and wanted to help me, just took pity on this poor newbie in the business and, just offered me all kinds of good advice. And, one thing that is very important, I think, is a life lesson. I just turned 47, so I feel like I can impart wisdom now. No, but really what's important, it's very important to know what you don't know. And I totally understand. Hey, Claudia Cheek, I totally get that I am new to this business and really green. And so I appreciate, all the advice that I get from everyone. I really do. It's just, some advice you take and you say, thanks, I'll take that under advisement, and you kind of toss it out mentally. But some you take and go, that's a really good idea. And I'm going to follow that. And I've had some really great mentors like yourself, really. And I appreciate you being also Money Talk with Melanie's first sponsor, which just rocked and was super encouraging. So I appreciate it.
Well, it's nice to break a first barrier, and after that, everything's easy. It's like having a white carpet and getting the first spot.
Yes. You were like, I hope I'm the first one, and you were. And I was like, oh my gosh, you were. I was very happy about that. All right.
Get to work.
We got to get down to business.
Okay,
now.
Folks.
Okay. So the Trump, the Trump tax reform, you're not buying. You're not buying the 15% corporate tax rate and the tax form that's going to be on one card, and none of that. You're not taking.
Oh no! I have no problem with any of that. Some of the stuff I think is a great idea. I'm just waiting for it to happen. I mean, here I am trying to write the update to Small Business Taxes Made Easy. We were going to turn it in and have it published in time for October, and I'm waiting for the chapter on the Trump tax plan. That isn't happening, but it looks like it may finally happen. And I know there are some senators that have actually proposed a postcard type tax return. Here is what we think, here is what we know about you. Just sign this and say, okay, yes, I agree, get my refund or not. And you know what? Right now, the way things already are, the IRS says that about 70% of the people can prepare their tax returns for free using the IRS free file system anyway. Okay?
Really?
So they've been saying this now for several years, that enough people, 70% of the population, have a simple enough tax return. They don't need any help. And, I teach tax professionals to become enrolled agents, and I tell them, if you want to build a tax practice around people who have simple tax returns, get out of here now, because they're not going to need you.
Okay,
you need to focus on people who have businesses, who have other things going on in their lives, and all of that stuff. But okay, let's look at what Trump is proposing, and let's look at what things might make sense, okay? One of the things that he has said that he would like to do is bring back or bring back the equality in marriage. So right now, the way the tax code is written, it isn't fair to married couples. We have a number of different things that affect people who are married. For instance, the net investment income tax, the additional Medicare tax, some of the tax brackets and stuff, where Congress is saying you are better off living in sin and being single than being married, because the tax benefits are not double for two people who are married to each other. They're not double the single benefit. For instance, for the net investment income tax credit, it's $200,000 for a single person for the limit before that kicks in, or $250,000 for a married couple. Shouldn't it be $400,000? Things like that.
Exactly. And people have divorced over that. Literally.
Yes. For instance, if you're married filing a joint return and you have rental real estate with losses, if you're married, you can get a $25,000 allowance for the losses. If you're single, you also get a $25,000. So two single people, instead of a married couple, can get $50,000 of losses on those same properties. Some of that stuff's really stupid and has bothered me, and it has nothing to do with Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal. It's just mathematical sense, for goodness sake.
Well, and you're so right. You like that. That's just unfair. But on a broader scale, it doesn't even have anything to do with party. It has to. It just speaks to how the system is just kind of set up against morality. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think briefly, I forget if it was Clinton or one of the Bushes. I think it was Clinton and Daddy Bush. We had it in equal, and I think Baby Bush broke it, and it's been that way ever since. I forget which one, but I think it was Baby Bush that broke it. And for a while, we actually had equality. And I thought, oh my God, we can let people marry again. So there are a lot of different things like that he is proposing to bring the equality back in, which is fine. Would I like to see a 15% tax bracket? Heck yeah, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the breakdown of the tax plan for capital gains. Okay, nothing changes on his breakdown for capital gains. But for income, he wants to take our 15% tax bracket and bring it down to 12. Our 25 to 28% tax bracket and bring it down to 25%. I don't see a huge problem with that. And 28 to 39.6, bring it down to 33. Okay, those are probably doable. But some of the things he talked about earlier was dramatically increasing the standard deduction and eliminating some other deductions. Some of that could work, but then, he's got to deal with a lot of the business things. And we have companies fleeing the United States and setting up shop elsewhere so they don't have to pay taxes here. And if we had a reasonable tax rate for those large corporations, maybe that a 15% flat tax rate would attract them to staying in the country and leaving some jobs here that aren't run by robots.
Exactly. And he's also talking about like a one-time situation where they can bring that corporate money back without penalty or with very little penalty.
I could see that being good for the country.
Absolutely. I could see it being good for the country too. Just at like, I think what he was saying was a 10% tax rate. I think it's called repudiation is the fancy word for it.
Oh, I don't like that word. that sounds like we don't want to have anything to do with it. But whatever. I don't care.
Yeah, what it's called as long as they do it. But think about how that might infuse the economy, I would think, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of this hocus pocus going on about, companies bringing the jobs back, and then it turns out they're not, and they're robotizing their workforce and things. One of the things that we need that really doesn't have so much to do with the tax plan, but might be something that could be a good source of incentives, is to have companies provide scholarships and get an incentive for scholarships to train people to do the jobs that they need done here. Because a lot of people who are presently unemployed are unemployed because they don't have the skills the companies would like to hire, and then they don't have to bring people from overseas.
Exactly. So true. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So anyway, I would like to see an incentive for something like that. But I don't know if you realize the corporate tax rate right now. What do you think is the highest corporate tax rate?
I heard it was 30. Isn't it 39% now?
Yeah, it's something like 39.6. And you know who pays it? It's not the multi-billion-dollar corporations. It's the people who have, the corporations who have profits between $100,000 and $300,000. It's the little guy, okay? The big guys are paying 35% presently. So it's the average American small business corporation that is paying the highest tax rate there is. That, excuse me, pisses me off.
Excuse your French, but
yes.
And it should. That's ridiculous. Now, the problem, of course, that we've been having since Donald Trump got elected is Congress.
Well, Congress has traditionally, over the last several presidencies, fought really hard to avoid helping any president. And so nothing is changing right now. They have not done their job. Instead of getting their act together and cooperating to represent all of the American people who voted for them instead of their parties, all they're doing is squabbling like kindergarten kids.
Exactly.
They have to grow up and stop this.
I agree. And the fact that, we own everything in the land as Republicans, you're just like, what are you doing? What are we doing? Seriously. What,
yeah.
Like, what do you, the fact that we didn't get healthcare passed is a disgrace. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? The closest thing we have gotten in decades and decades and decades is Obamacare. And I know everybody is upset with it and it doesn't work right. And there are a lot of problems with it. And people who had insurance before, their insurance has gone up. But other people who never had insurance finally do have insurance. So it's not that that's something that we need to do away with. We need to fix the things in it that work. It was historic. It was as historic as getting Social Security Act passed. It really was an amazing feat. We just need to make it work right. It was the first step, and that's one of the reasons why it can't just flat out be eliminated.
Well, I listen, the way that the plan was designed was ingenious. They made sure that it was wormed and weaved through so many different aspects of the bureaucracy that it was going to be very hard to undo it. I mean, from a constitutional standpoint, I have a fundamental problem with Obamacare on its face.
On the fact that it penalizes people who don't get insurance. There are definitely things wrong with it. There are things I want to tear out of it.
Right.
But you know what? Congress still needs to sit down together and find the pieces that make it work and work with the insurance companies to make it affordable. The insurance companies are really, really the real stumbling block.
Indeed.
For creating costs that don't have to be there. There are better ways to determine and handle the costs. And the fraud, my God, the fraud needs to stop.
Yes. And if we concentrated on that, and I was going to say that my drawback in saying, let's just repeal it. It did help some people. So yeah, it's unconstitutional, and I completely agree with that. But it's here now. Like you can't unring that bell now. In my mind, I'm not a fan, but it's not. I don't think it's a bell that you can unring at this point. And frankly, I think it was designed that way. It was designed to be really hard to kill.
But we have. Think about this though. it affects the people who may not have jobs, where
Indeed.
the company covers them and so forth.
Yes.
Congress is all covered. All of the members of Congress, the House and the Senate, are covered by an amazing plan. If they had to face that same coverage that the rest of the country had to face, maybe they would find a solution. And one of the only petitions I've ever signed, probably in the last 10 years, is the one to have Congress be subject to whatever healthcare laws they pass.
Absolutely. And they should be subject to all laws. Should be no exemptions for them.
Yeah, and they shouldn't get the best health care in the world. You know, many of them only work in their jobs for 6 years, and they have the best health care in the world for life. So they need to take care of their constituents and live in the same world that we're living in.
Absolutely.
Okay, I can't say I'm part of that, because my husband has this really great plan, and that's why I married him.
with a great health insurance.
Oh, God, yes.
Hey, listen, I gotta have incentive, right?
Sure.
Oh my God.
You know, ladies, guys, if you're going to get married, find somebody who's got a great government job.
And that is dating advice from the one and only Eva Rosenberg. No,
and it helps if you like them.
Yeah, liking them, you know, liking them is more important than loving them. I swear.
So those are some of my thoughts. What are you thinking would be great about his plan?
Well, as far as health insurance is concerned, I don't want to see from a constitutional perspective. I'd love to see a full repeal, but I don't think it would be fair. I don't want to see families lose their health insurance. I would love to see a simplified tax plan. Now, Donald Trump said the other day, I want to put tax preparers out of business. I'm like, no, not my Eva. Thank you. Kenneth McClinton is in facing, just congratulated me. Thank you, honey. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. He was the one who this was his big idea, Kenneth McClinton. So I had to definitely give him a shout out. Thank you, darling. Anyway, I would love to see a simplified tax plan. And I didn't know that so many people qualified for free taxes. What is the criteria for that?
For free tax preparation?
Yes. For free
tax preparation, it's something like around $53,000 worth of income, and to not have a business and not have investments. And so basically the average person who has a job can get it done for free right now. And so it's no big deal. They don't need to pay anyone any complicated fees. And the Free File Alliance that the IRS has formed with about a dozen tax processing companies doesn't allow those companies to upsell them any kind of BS services.
You're on fire today.
Many of the states have partnered, and so they may now be able to file IRS and state tax returns from that system. So, you know, it's worth trying out. And I write about that every single year. I've been writing about that like for the last 10 years. And it is so underutilized. But there's, you know, for tax professionals, I am not concerned about a simplified tax code. I would love to see that. There are so many other ways I can help people with their taxes and their businesses, and to make them profitable, and to help them build a dynasty in their business that could go on for many generations, and to live well and live, you know, a good ethical life without having to lie on their tax returns.
Right. I'm married. I'm not married. I'm divorced, living in sin, so that I can get a significant tax break. Like, come on.
Yeah, really. And look at all the nonsense people make up about their business deductions and their meals and entertainment. Okay, we're getting together for dinner. We're at a classy restaurant. We say the word business. Now it's a deduction.
Wait a minute. Are you saying in your professional opinion that that's not a legitimate, that's not a legitimate tax deducted dinner? You're saying if I mention Money Talk with Melanie while I'm at Ruth's Chris, that I cannot deduct that
You think that's enough?
No, I don't.
I think the IRS thinks that. I don't need to have an opinion. But why do you have to make up that nonsense? Okay?
Right.
Why not have a flat tax rate? Years ago, I proposed a flat tax rate to my senator when they were working on, gives away my age, the Tax Reform Act of 1986 was what resulted instead of a simplified tax code. But I proposed, why don't we just do something, find a number like 5% right off the top of gross revenue, no deductions, you take it right off the top instead of net profit, nobody has to make up numbers.
There you go. And actually, Dave Milner in the chat just said something similar. I don't know if you saw it or not. He's like, you know, how much did you make? How much did you make? Send in a percentage. You're done. You know what I mean? Like,
really, I saw that.
really super simple. Well, listen,
Dave, thanks for your comments.
We're up against the break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about things going on in the third quarter. And I do want to first talk to you about help for victims of these hurricanes that are going on now. You have some really good information about that, and I want my audience to definitely avail themselves of that. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and I have the one and only Eva Rosenberg, who is also known as the Tax Mama, with me today. We will be back in a few moments.
Power brokers use corrupt politicians, deceptive Islam, and lies from establishment media to turn the once shining city on a hill into the city of the blind. What do the elites fear? One man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me at SHR Media, High Plains Talk Radio, Spreaker, iTunes, and YouTube for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hello, I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe from the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Tax Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Tackhead Sean and Tackhead Clint. We're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Tackhead Radio. The best late-night conservative talk show in America. And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fix errors in the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out of every penny. Start deducting today. Visit TaxMama.com. TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with one M.com.
My name is David Barnett, and I've been helping people buy and sell small and medium-sized businesses since 2008. So far this year, I've gone on 5 vacations. It's because I've got my own business. When you get tired of being managed by someone else and you decide that business ownership is right for you without the risk of starting your own unproven enterprise, then come over to businessbuyeradvantage.com. There are over 100 YouTube videos on buying and selling businesses that you can watch for free. That's businessbuyeradvantage.com.
And we're back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. I want to give a few shout outs to people in the chat. And there are tons of you guys that have been in and out of the chat on Facebook. I want to thank you so much. Sackhead Sean, Bobby Jones. Eva is in there. If you have questions for her, if you post them, I bet she'll answer them. Holly, who else? Cynthia, Chuck, William, another Richard. Who else is in here? Ronnie, Lamarge, how are you? Earl, the Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is also in the chat. Eric, I'm sorry for anybody. Claudia Cheek, love you, girl. David, oh, I know who that is. That's Sandy. How are you? Josh, thank you so much. The one and only Ron Edwards, also in the chat. Tanya, Gabriel, thank you. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show and for watching on Facebook. I really do appreciate it. And anybody I missed, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry if I missed you. I'm just kind of scrolling up and down, and there are a bunch of you in there. And of course, if not, hey, Maretha Green, if not, definitely go to TaxMama.com with one M and check out her website and buy her books. She's an expert. Her books are award winning. Well, you know, she's an expert just by listening to her. So Eva, let's talk a little bit about what we can do in the third quarter tax-wise to ease our tax burden here in the good old US of A while we're waiting for Congress and Donald Trump to handle their business.
Well, right now we are in September. Can you believe that?
I know, it's crazy.
This is the time of year, if you're in business, to start looking at retirement plans for your business. And there are so many different kinds, but one of them, if you're going to set up a simple IRA for your employees, you have to set it up by the end of this month in order to claim the deductions and benefits for 2017. If you don't do it by the end of this month, it's too late. The others, the 401k or solo 401k, if it's just you and your spouse or your partners, you can set that up as late as December 31st. But here is something that you can still do for last year. If you haven't filed your business tax return, whether it's a Schedule C or a 1065 or an 1120, if you haven't filed it yet and you have a big profit and a lot of taxes, you can still set up a SEP IRA today. You can set it up until September 15th because that's the filing deadline for all of those things, or October 15th if you are just self-employed filing a Schedule C, and fund the plan for last year. But you have to fund the plan in order to get the deduction for 2016. I just got through having a conversation with one of my clients about an hour before we started, and that's what he's going to do.
That's amazing. I had no idea. Now, do you have to amend that return, or you can just? I would think you would, right?
Well, I'm talking about people who haven't filed. But that's
okay.
A good question about amending. If you've already filed and you had the tax return on extension when you filed, then your extension was good until September 15th. or October 15th, depending on the kind of return. And so if you fund it right now and amend the return in time before the filing deadline, you could very well qualify for the deduction for a contribution to a SEP IRA for last year and get money back. Some other tricks, but I won't talk about that now.
Yeah, you want the other tricks, you got to sign up and be one of her clients.
There you go. The big money.
Okay. You want all of that wisdom, and of course you could always buy one of her award-winning books, Deduct Everything and Small Business Taxes Made Easy. Now I want to talk, I'm sorry, did I interrupt? Because I think you were about to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to do a quick reminder, because we are on 911 and the 15th is coming up this week. So the things you have to deal with, you have to file your entity tax returns. They're all due on this 15th. You have to make estimated tax payments for the third quarter for personal and or business if you need to make them. So you have to fund your SEP IRA or 401k. And so there's a lot of different uses for your money that needs to come up in the next 4 days. So and planning and figure out how you're going to get all of that money together. In fact, the least important thing is to pay the taxes that are due. If in fact you can handle all of these other things first, you can always put the taxes that are due for last year on an installment plan, but there's a deadline for these other things, for the estimated tax payments and the retirement funding. Very important to get the tax break.
Now that makes it, that information alone is just so valuable, and also the information about amending last year's if you didn't take that deduction and you can do it now. That's amazing. Do you think that's a loophole, an oversight that you can do that, or it seems to me that would be something that the government would close up?
Well, hopefully they're not listening.
Yeah, don't tell them. Don't tell the IRS.
Don't tell anybody. But really, I hadn't thought about that until somebody asked me a few days ago, and I realized that it would qualify if you were on extension to do that. But we've only got 4 days left.
Right, that's true. That is very true.
And you need to get your tax pro to be willing to do that when they're facing deadlines.
Oh, yeah. How about that? But you, of course, would do that for any of your clients, I'm sure.
For my clients, I would.
Because you are the tax mama after all. Okay, so talk to me about what's available IRS relief-wise as far as hurricane victims of hurricanes and any other disasters. I live here in New Jersey, surrounded by beaches. So, I mean, those are my locals that are listening, therefore, before the grace of God, go we. We're looking at Texas and we're looking at Florida, and things have happened so far inland. It used to be, I mean, I live about maybe 10 miles inland, and I rarely ever worry about flooding. Now, with the way these hurricanes are, I'm a little bit concerned about if we get a hurricane here.
Well, see, I'm in the valley in Los Angeles, and so if all of Los Angeles floods, it'll pour over into the valley. It's like a bowl.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
But we think we're far enough away, so we're not in trouble.
Oh goodness. So,
but just imagine, if LA fills up, it'll all flow into our bowl here.
Oh, great.
Here's the information, guys. The IRS actually has an area of the website for tax relief in disaster situations, and one of my students just contacted me this morning to find out if there was anything about Hurricane Irma yet. And yes, President Trump did in fact issue a presidential disaster area declaration. And when that happens, a few good things happen for people tax-wise. First of all, we get extended deadlines. So everybody in those areas who has to meet the September 15th filing deadline is off the hook. Okay, you have until January 31st of next year of 2018 to meet the deadlines for filing, for paying, for funding, for everything. The other thing that happens when there is a presidentially declared disaster area is that when you have casualty losses from something like this, you have 3 different ways to claim the casualty loss. You can claim it the year before the disaster, so you can get some quick refunds. So you can still claim it on 2016 and amend 2016 if you haven't filed. You can claim it on 2017 when it happens, or you can claim it in 2018 when the insurance settles. So you have 3 different years you can use depending on which one gives you the best advantage.
And that's why you need a tax professional. I mean, that right there is why you need a tax professional. Now, let me ask you something. I reported during the Money Talk news report that people were only getting like an average of $33,000 from their flood insurance. And obviously, you know, many people's homes are worth, you know, triple, quadruple that. Are those types of losses things that they can claim on their taxes?
Yeah, see, the losses tend not to be for the entire value of the home anyway. They're for the cost to fix or repair things. So if the damage is far more than they're getting from flood insurance or from FEMA or anything else, then they can pick up the difference as a casualty loss. And the nice thing about a casualty loss is regardless of what year you're ending up taking this deduction, these casualty losses, you can carry those losses back for 2 years if they're higher than your income for the year and get back huge refunds, or you can carry them forward for 20 years.
Wow.
If they wipe out all of your income. So casualty losses are like real ordinary losses that can be really beneficial in the long run. You know, they're deductions. They're not, you know, 100% money back like credits. So
Right.
you're not going to get your money back. So it really helps to have the flood insurance and any other kind of backup that you need. In California, we have earthquakes. I have earthquake insurance.
Wow. See, I don't know that I want to live a place where I have earthquake insurance. Do you have now? If you have earthquake insurance, and there's a tsunami, does that like roll over into the tsunami, or is that going into flood insurance? I mean, I know you're not the insurance person, but I'm just do you know?
Well, let's put it this way, okay? If I were living in Malibu where we're constantly having floods, then I would have flood insurance and the tsunami would be taken care of by the flood insurance. But we had that big Northridge quake in '94, and one of my clients ran the IT department for 20th Century Insurance, and he said, you know, all of a sudden a lot of people had fires.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have earthquake insurance, but they had fire insurance. So this is not a suggestion, guys.
Yeah,
the insurance companies know when you do this. So if you don't have flood insurance, but you start a fire, you know, during, you know, Harvey and Irma, they'll know that that was fraud.
There's a meme going around that like has a house surrounded by water, but then it's like burned up, and they're like, when you didn't have flood insurance or something.
Right.
So terrible. Well, listen, before I let you go, please tell everyone, first of all, thank you. 100th episode, you rocked as always. Tell people where they can find your books, find your services. They should already know if they're listening to the show, but tell them anyway.
Really? How tedious. We keep telling you. First of all, congratulations, Melanie. This is an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you.
And folks, you have a deadline. And if you need help, if you have questions, I do not accept clients anymore, but I answer questions for free at TaxMama.com. Just click on Ask a Free Question or Ask a Tax Question. And the books are available at Amazon, or there's a link from the site. And they are very inexpensive. They are really useful. And if you get the Kindle version or the ebook version, the links in the book are worth 10 times the price of the book themselves.
So cool. So cool. Thank you so much, Eva Rosenberg, Tax Mama. Thank you for being a sponsor of Money Talk with Melanie. Thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for all of your fantastic advice. You totally rock, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again really soon. Can you hear me still? Oh.
We still can.
Oh, okay, very good. Yes, thank you for you rock so hard. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again really soon. Thanks a bunch. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette. That concludes our 100th episode of Money Talk with Melanie. Thank you, everyone who joined me on Facebook and on YouTube and on shrmedia.com. You guys are really the best. I'm feeling really good about this new time slot now. Actually, like, really nervous. I'm a little bit nervous now, but thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate it. I want everyone to have a fantastic rest of your Monday. Remember, all of this is very important because it's your money. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if anyone else can.
No,
but
I'm trying to shut it. I have one more. Here we go. I have one more video to shut down.
all right, all those different places.
Yes, yes.
That was very good.
Video